happening here today? We have Jeff with us. Jeff is he's my neighbor, and you brought a Korean War Jeep here today.
52 M38A1s. First served in Korea and then all over the world after that.
And you have well, we didn't see today, but you have an ammo trailer for it as well.
I do. I don't know if they call it an ammo trailer. It's an M100. It's the one that goes with that year, and it actually has a rebuild tag when it was rebuilt in Korea. And my dad was serving in Korea, so I had to have it. I bought it from a Marine Corps scout sniper who was getting divorced and going bankrupt. He didn't want to sell it, but he had to. And man, great stories he had. He had offed many of our enemies over in Afghanistan and places like that. And he actually rebuilt the transmission on it for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what's in those? It's a Jeep. So is it a V6 in there?
It's a straight four-cylinder. They call it a F-134 F-head. The previous model was the M38, and it had what they called the Go Devil engine in it. And this one is the M38A1. Every time they made improvements, they added A1 at the end of it, like M1, M1A1. And so the original one had all the valves were in the block. And these are half in the block and half in the head. I think it's how they call it, the F-head. And it's got the Borg-Warner top loader T90 tranny in it, the 538 gears in the rear, and a Dana 60, and I think it's a Dana 25 in the front.
A T90, is that a Tremec transmission?
Borg-Warner.
Borg-Warner. Okay, so there was some kind of shift, right? When it was Borg-Warner, then it was Tremec, because they switch off? Because I know that with the Camaros, you can usually, they're both T56s are the transmissions that the 6-speeds come with. One of them was a Borg-Warner year, and one of them was a Tremec year. Did they have any overlap there?
I have no idea on that one. I have to research that.
Probably not back then.
No.
So is it 4-speed?
3-speed.
Oh, 3-speed.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, because I seen it cruise around, and it's just like, it's that olive drab. It's very period specific.
That one is actually Marine Corps forest green. The olive
really?
drab is a little different looking. And all the ones that they originally painted were a flat, because you're going into war, you don't want to be shiny.
Sure.
But because the flat will absorb oil and grease and stuff, I did a semi-gloss on that one. But that one was supposed to be a Marine Corps color because my father was in the Marine Corps, went into Korea in 52, and that's a 52. And I was going to give him an honor ride in that one, but we lost him before I could do that. So.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, but you did do the honor ride for
my uncle, who was in heavy combat in Korea. My uncle Sonny, he's just turned 95 or 96 the other day, and I took him around in it. And after he got out of combat, they don't just let you get out. He was assigned to a major that he had to drive around in a Jeep. So I took him around in it. It was the funniest to see his reaction. He's like, "Well, these were the brand new model when I was just getting out. The fancy new model." It's weird hearing that about a 70-year-old Jeep.
Wow.
He also said that he thought that you could climb telephone poles with them because they would go up such steep grades.
Oh, because the gears in them.
Yeah, 538 gears in it. I'll have to throw it in 4-wheel and take you up the hill over here.
What's the top speed on that?
You can actually get about 60, 65 out of this one. The previous generation was like 45.
Oh, wow.
But you really don't want to stay up there very long. It's kind of a squirrely ride.
Really? Is it howl?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine. So did you restore it yourself?
I took it down to the frame myself, and I got to a point to where I came into a little bit of money, so I had this guy up in Diamond Springs near Placerville put it back together for me. And he likes to tell everybody I brought it to him in buckets, which is kind of true. I did have a lot of parts in buckets, but I took it down to the frame, and when I got down to the frame, the guy who owned it previously, his name was Eckhard Kaiserkampf, and the German guy, and we're still friends to this day. He's grows wine grape roots up in the wine country.
Oh.
And grafts on whatever type of grape you want and sells it to the guys who grow grapes. But bought from him, took it apart, and he had welded an old farm bumper on it with a ball bumper, and the original ones were the pintle hitch. And it took me like 2 weeks to cut through all those welds. I mean, they were, I don't know how much time the guy spent on it, but he welded like an I-beam on it and went back and forth with a whole bunch of passes, and I took my angle grinder, and I wore out so many little discs doing that. It was ridiculous. I was afraid that thing was going to shatter on me, too. You ever had a angle grinder disc come apart on you when you were using it?
I've always been afraid of that. Yeah, I've always been afraid of that.
I've got a fear of them now because that happened a couple times. So now I'm kind of like over here to try to wear a face shield. And
yeah, I mean, because I've always I've always worn the goggles, right? But then you start because I've had like with the cutting wheels will come off, and they'll sometimes, and it's kind of like the same thing, not as heavy, but and you hit those in the mouth, and you start like tasting a little of that iron, little blood there. And it's just, imagine if it hit your eye, and a couple times it has come apart where it has hit me in the glasses, and it's just, holy shit.
Yeah, I've eaten a lot of grit off of those, and they're nasty.
I mean, it only takes one time, one little accident. I remember we used to live in San Mateo, and our neighbor at the time, she was, she had one of those circular saws, right? Skill saw. And those are scary as fuck to me. So she had one of those, and she, I think, had the guard pulled back or something, and was cutting, and she had got her thumb in there, and the thumb got stuck and jammed the saw, and of course the thumb came off, and so she was screaming next door, and then she was screaming for her daughter to come. Her daughter was like, I think 17 or something at the time, so she comes out, then she starts getting hysterical, and I'm like, the neighbors, we'll say that they weren't as big of fans of me as they were of my wife. So I went to go get my wife. I was like, hey, you got to go and see what's going on over there. They're screaming something fierce. So she goes over there and she's like, oh my God, Josh, call 911. I was like, okay. So apparently the daughter had already called 911, and, the thumb was, jammed in there, but they were able to put it back on. So, I mean,
give me kind of goosebumps when you tell that story, because I've got a really good circular story. A buddy of mine named Darwin is a mason. And he said, you'll have to take in apprentices all the time. And you get these kids that want to try to show off. So he had wired the safety gate open on it. And he was taking one by ones and laid them across his knee and just zipping and zipping and zipping. Well, it caught a shirt tail in the blade. And it went just like that, right? So it ripped one of his testicles off and spun it around in the blade about 1,000 times. Climbed up his stomach, and then he said the only reason the saw stopped was because the blood shorted it out. So my buddy Darwin went over to try to remove the saw, but his guts would come up with it, so he had to take him to the hospital with the saw embedded in him. And it looked like there was a guitar string from the saw down to where his testicle used to be, and it just pulled it right out.
So, how old was he at this time?
That guy was probably in his mid-20s. For the rest of his life, he's known as Lefty.
Fuck. But, so did he have any kids?
I don't know if he did after that or not.
Did he have any before?
I don't know. I just heard the story from my friend Mason.
Because, it's just skill saws and penises. I don't know what it is, but that same thing happened to my Uncle Jim, R.I.P. Uncle Jim. This is not what killed him, but he was making this playhouse for my cousin, and he taped the thing back. He wasn't a big fan, what you would call a fan of safety, I would say.
Yeah.
So he had taped the guard back, was cutting the boards, and all of a sudden he screamed, right? And this guy, to hear this man scream, this was a very hairy Sasquatch of a man, tough guy. He screamed, and he was like, oh my God, I cut my dick off. I cut my dick off. And
did he really?
He did not cut it off, but you know how apparently how when you boil a hot dog for too long and it opens, that's what happened. He filleted it, I guess, and he got it sewn back up though. He got it sewn back up, and he had a kid after that.
Well, it's like Bobbit. He had his cut completely off and they put it back on.
That's right. And didn't he do like porn for a little while? I think.
Yeah, and he got one of the porn actors pregnant or something like that. I saw it on TV. It was really funny.
Wow.
But these old timers in safety, like I got a friend who's an iron worker, and when I first got my angle grinder, he said, well, Jeff, the first thing you do, you should take the safety off and throw it over the neighbor's fence. You're not going to use it. I'm like, what? So I did, and now I wish I hadn't, but those guys were crazy.
Ooh. But did it ever separate on you?
The angle grinder?
Yeah.
Oh, a few times I've had them come apart on me. You'll get going, and it'll get a chip in it or something, and it'll get off balance, and it'll just throw stuff everywhere.
God, that's especially like if you're like doing it on a car that's already painted, because that'll easily dent from the inside. If you're grinding, that's some scary shit. But it's kind of what we all sign up for when we start building cars, when we start stripping things down to the frame, and we're like, that's probably good. I'll just get it and I'll scuff it and rattle can it.
Yeah.
And then it turns into, oh, well, there's some rust there. Oh, I better take this off. Ooh, you know what? If I'm going to take it off, I might as well take it off the frame. Well, I might as well powder coat it. You know?
One thing leads to the next. In fact, I rattle canned the frame on that Jeep myself before I took it up to the guy. But when I cut the back bumper off, I had actually cut one of the tabs off that was welded on so good. I had to go through it. And that was my first weld repair. I learned how to weld by buying a machine. And my buddy, the iron worker, was a master welder, and he was giving me ideas over the phone. Do this, do that.
Yeah. Nice. Is that the same
That's
one?
an M38A1. I don't know what year it is, but that's it. And if you look at the battery cover, that's a later model one, because the 52s had these thumb screws, and that's got a strap across the battery cover. There's all these little things on the Jeeps that you notice real quick. Like if you look at the one right there to the right, it says 52. You see that little hole in there just in front of the passenger compartment or passenger seat?
Oh, yeah. What is that for? Is that gas?
That's an electrical connection. They used to jumpstart aircraft and tanks with these. There's a 24-volt system. That's a 52 right there. You can tell by the battery box with the thumb screws. Oh. But that little round circle right there, that's an electrical connection that they used to hook up to aircraft and tanks and start them with. That it was a 2-battery 24-volt system.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. That's it. That's an interesting point, because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of aircraft back then had to be started externally.
Yeah.
And I read, I think it was on the SR-71 Blackbirds that they actually had 2 Buick V8s to start it, just to start the thing. I mean, that's insane.
And it ran on that weird fuel. What's the stuff that you put on a cut? I can't remember the name of that.
Was it just straight ethanol?
No, it was. What is the stuff you put on when you get a cut? It's clear liquid.
Hydrogen
It foams
peroxide?
up. Peroxide. That's what it was running on. And they leak like a sieve until they heat up, because when they heat up, they expand and then they seal everything up.
Right. Yeah.
I have friends that were in the Air Force that told me about those.
Yeah, sealing up the... Well, I mean, we had to actually... we had to give my dog a bath in hydrogen peroxide when he got sprayed by a skunk.
Ugh.
Yeah, and we didn't have tomato sauce. We just used ketchup, you know? You must have them. You must see the skunks around here.
I have a trap in my backyard because I have a squirrel problem, and my since I retired, I play in my garden all the time. I've got zucchinis and tomatoes and cherries and all kinds of stuff, fruit and veggies everywhere. And the squirrels, the first year I put this cherry tree in, a Rainier cherry tree, it's an expensive tree, and expensive cherries. They ate every one of them. So talked to a buddy of mine, said just get a safe trap and relocate them over to the river. So far this year I'm up to 17.
17?
17 squirrels, 2 possums. I'm trying to think of what else. We get turkeys back there. I don't know why they wander in my backyard. And,
Turkeys, yeah. The turkeys come out here too. And my dog is strangely okay with it.
They smash down all my onions in the backyard. I go back there
shit.
and they just trample all over it. My wife does all this weird decorative stuff in the front yard. They were out there scratching around and throwing all her stuff everywhere. She was pissed off. She was chasing them down the street with a hose. I was about to bust a gut laughing at her.
Yeah, well, I mean, the chickens, we have chickens in the back, and so they do that too. Whenever we let them out, they just wreck shop.
That reminds me, we have raccoons that come back there, and the neighbor next door has chickens, and they somehow busted into the coop, took the chicken out, killed it, and was eating it on her roof. And she comes out and there's raccoons up there, and it wouldn't leave. It was real bold, She's trying to shoo it off, and it just kept on munching.
Oh, well, we've had a couple run-ins with raccoons out there where they tried to get in there at night. We've reinforced all the... they can actually pick, like, the little grates. They can actually pick those and, like, cut the little grates, like almost like a little die cutter. And so we doubled it up so that they can't really do that. But they tried to get in there, and they actually got a finger in and scratched one of the chickens, but they made a lot of noise. Yeah. Like, and we're kind of tuned to wake up. And so as soon as I got up, I had to get the slingshot, and so because I can't just shoot the neighbor's house, they won't take kindly to that.
Yeah, the police don't either.
Yeah. So, you got to get something like a slingshot or whatever. So I got the wood pellets out, and it was at night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. You could see them in the little like juniper tree that's next there, and their eyes were glowing. So I'd shoot, and then a pair of eyes would disappear. Shoot, another pair of eyes would disappear, but then they are somewhere else. And so it's just something that we've had to watch, And so sometimes I'll let my dog back into the chicken area just so it smells like dog. And I'll let him piss all over the place so it smells like dog, because they don't really like dogs. They kind of stay away, especially if you have a larger dog. And so that kind of helps to keep like also the coyotes out.
We used to hunt them back in Virginia, and they'd make this raccoon mix that, oh god, it was the awfulest smelling stuff. Let fish, melt down to like goo and everything like that, and then go out at night and smear it everywhere and try to shoot them. A friend of mine named Dave Patton, and I don't know if you ever heard of him or not. He was a world champion arm wrestler. Taught Sylvester Stallone for the movie Over the Top. If you look at the end of it, it'll say credits Dave Patton trainer.
Oh, okay.
And he used to hunt raccoons. I don't think his wife allows him to hunt anymore, but he and I used to hunt and run around all the time back in Virginia, and he had raccoon pelts on the walls where he'd
really?
Them. And I was so jealous.
Did you ever make a hat?
No. I never got one. I was brand new into learning how to hunt or shoot or anything like that. My mom and dad never wanted us to have a firearm, and so I finally bought one, but I had to keep it at his house, and we'd go out after high school shooting dove and squirrels and things like that.
Oh yeah, I've always been interested in just the art of being able to like skin the animal and use the whole thing. You know what I mean? Because it's an uncommon skill to have, especially now. To be able to skin something and use the whole...
Couple of tricks to it. You got to skin it when it's fresh. The skin comes off easier.
Yeah.
And then what we'd do with animals that you want to keep the pelt, you'd boil water and get as much salt in it as you could, boil hot salt water, and then you pour it across the inside of the skin, and it comes out looking like suede. It's really the coolest looking thing. And it sets the hairs and everything so they don't fall out. I've done that a couple of times. So.
Oh. Yeah, because, I mean, anybody can go fishing, and you could clean a fish. It's pretty easy to do. Debone and you can fillet it, but to like skin a deer, to skin even a raccoon or anything,
it's not that bad once you do it. I mean, if you have somebody that knows what they're doing and they can give you some guidance along the way, it's not bad at all. The biggest thing is have a really sharp knife. The first time I did one, I didn't have a real sharp knife. After that, I have a friend who sharpens surgical instruments for hospitals, and I had him sharpen my knives for me, and you could shave with them. They were so sharp, super sharp.
Nice.
And then it's super easy. When you do a deer, the first thing I do is I go to the legs where the knee is, ring around that, and the thing pops apart. Throw those on the side, right? Then you cut around the back and up to the back of the legs, and you can peel the whole cape off and then peel back the other way.
Oh. So do you go hunting pretty often?
I haven't been hunting in a while. The last time I went hunting was up in Northern California. I joined the club. Broke my foot, got bit by something. I got a MRSA infection on my back.
Oh, shit.
Big red blotch, and then I go to the doctor, and he says, you really got it. So had to eat all these big, giant pills and everything. But I'm dying to go again. As a matter of fact, California now, you have to use non-lead ammo.
Right.
So I just started reloading all of my stuff with non-lead ammo and getting ready to go do that.
When did that come about? When did that law come about?
I don't remember what year that was. It hadn't been, 4 or 5 years maybe.
Shit. So now man.
But the technology in non-lead bullets has really come along. The Barnes tip triple shock is what I put in my 7 mag. And the tip is a plug that's made to push back and cause the thing to open it up, transfer the energy, and cut it all up. And they're a lot better than when they first came out. And I was amazing how accurate they were. The first 3 shots I put with the Barnes bullets, they cloverleaf. There's made all one hole.
Oh, really? Yeah. Wow. So, how long ago? I mean, if I bought ammo in another state, it's probably got lead in it.
Well, unless you buy non-lead, you could buy it anywhere. But I make my own, so I order it and have it shipped to the house, and then I assemble it.
Is that involved? Is that you have to buy a lot of supplies with it? Because you probably have to buy
You have a press. I have a powder thrower. Now, I also pour my own lead bullets, so I got other stuff for that. But you have a press, a powder thrower. That's pretty much all you need. The press, you pop out the old primer, put a new one in. Go to the powder thrower after you have it set up to how much powder you need. Just put it in there, throw a lever, dumps the powder in, put it back in the press. You change the die, put that back in, put a bullet in, and seat it, and that's it. It's amazingly fast. And shotgun shells are even easier. I've got a loader that I've had since I was like 16. Matter of fact, I bought it half and half with that guy, Dave Patton.
Oh, really?
And when I came
Let's look up Dave Patton and his the arm wrestling.
And he and I had it half and half. And when I moved to California, I wanted it. So I said, let me buy your half out. And I did. And brought it out here with me, and I've had it ever since.
Oh, damn.
That's him, bottom right.
This guy?
Yep.
Arm wrestler.
Arm wrestler.
Look at that one. Look at the metal one with the hair.
This one?
I don't know who that is.
Oh no! It was like black and white. It's probably not him.
Over here?
Oh yeah, towards the top. Is that him? Metal Archive?
That's him.
Really?
Top left. Not that.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That guy looks like he could be from like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Funny story about Dave. He and I went to high school together back in Chantilly, by God, Virginia, where men are men, women are men, sheep are nervous, you know. And you don't drive trucks; it's a T-Ruck. So he used to arm wrestle in high school, but he tore a tendon in his front of his arm. I remember seeing in a cast, and when he pulled it off, you could see the tendon go like a noodle like this. So when he went back to arm wrestling, he had to learn to use different muscles, and that's, if you heard that movie Over the Top,
Yeah.
that's where the phrase came from. Is he came up with this technique called going over the top. So instead of going like this, he would come back this way and go down, and a whole new technique. People weren't used to it because you're fighting with different muscles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was an unbelievable arm wrestler. So.
Damn.
And now I believe he teaches martial arts. So.
Oh, really? Like Muay Thai and like MMA teaching?
Probably on there somewhere. Lightweight legend.
Damn.
I'm gonna have to send this to him so he sees it.
Yeah. Have him like and subscribe. I'll be damned. So, did he ever? Because I've heard some pretty horrific stories when it comes to like power lifters and some arm wrestlers, to where that thing will pop out.
Oh, it's amazing some of the stuff that happens. I remember a guy that we went to a tournament with. I actually arm wrestled with him in one tournament, and this guy we picked up had torn a bicep. So if you look at his, instead of two biceps, he had one that went all the way down and one that went halfway down. It looked like it was sliced right there, but it just ripped in half when he was wrestling. And he was going back to wrestling again. I don't know how well he did. And some people break their arm, and I think they usually break up here. So.
You know, I just don't have like that many injuries to. I mean, I guess I do, but I can't imagine doing that and having a muscle rip.
I got to go to a tournament with him in Newport News, Virginia, and then another one up here in, what is it, Chickentown? I can't remember the name of it. You go across 37. It's a little town there in California.
It's called Chicken Town?
It's the chicken capital of the world.
Oh, what's chicken capital of the world? This I did not know.
They also have a big arm wrestling thing there every year. Petaluma.
Oh,
Just came to me. So I got to go to one there with them. And this is back in the days where they had these guys named Cleve Dean and Johnny Walker. And, I mean, you see these guys and you're like, I don't want to be anywhere near him, dude. This guy's going to kill me. Cleve Dean was a hog farmer, and he just walk around like this, you know.
hog farm, real salt of the earth guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Petaluma. That's where Sonoma State's there, right?
I no
Or
idea.
that's Rohnert Park. Same kind of thing, right? Wine country.
Yeah, if you look at the arm wrestling tournament, they even have a statue there of a couple of arm wrestlers. I think they call it wrist wrestling back then.
Oh, really?
It was one of the biggest tournaments around. I got to take Dave out there to that one. He flew out, and we went out to that one to the other.
Petaluma Pete.
Those are always interesting to watch. Those in like the, you ever watch like the slap fights?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man, some of them really they really lay it on hard.
I don't get that. That's just odd to me, you know.
It's just,
I don't like pain.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the Petaluma statue right there in the middle.
Oh, that's the arm wrestling one.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
I don't know if they still do it, but it was a big, huge tournament they would have every year.
At the chicken capital of the world.
Yep.
I'll be damned. Well, we just, I mean, we actually got a couple extra chickens. We got 7 chicks now. You want to,
Wow.
You want to see a little baby chick? Take a look after this, and
Do they eat your garden up though, right?
we keep them separate.
Oh.
So there's like we have like a quadrant separated in our backyard to where it's fenced off and there's a gate. So if we did want to let them out, they could, and we let them out whenever right after like a harvest or something, or when we're about to plant stuff, because then they'll eat all the bugs, you know, and they'll dig a bunch of stuff too. It sucks because they'll mess up the raised beds and they'll get in the flowers and they'll dump a bunch of shit in the pond, and you know that's fine, but you know we don't have spiders back there. We don't have cockroaches, and we back right up to that empty lot where it has that high voltage, and so there's no controlling all the critters that come in. You can spray and do whatever, but they'll come anyway. Wow. And they come right to the chickens, and the chickens get a free meal.
You actually had coyotes come in?
So we've had them a couple, not in our, not past our fence, but they do roam that high voltage area.
Yeah, I actually have a little bicycle. I'm trying to lose a little weight, but I went over to that new neighborhood and around this way where that kind of gully thing is, and the high voltage goes across. And I saw coyotes running over there.
Yeah.
People letting their dogs run around. And then you see these signs on the lamppost. Have you seen my dog? I'm thinking.
Yeah, if it's a small dog, it's, it's probably gone. But, the homeless people, we had homeless people back there for a while. And when there was homeless people back there, there was not a lot of coyotes because I think they got scared or, went away. But then of course they left all their shit, and now it smells like people back there. So they want to come and they want to see what's going on. So there's a little bit more traffic now with them.
I went over there once to have a stern conversation, shall we say, with a couple of them, because one guy came over to our street, came all the way down to the end, and he took the neighbor's trash can and started using it like a shopping cart. He was going down to everybody's porch and taking stuff. And back then, I had this little bitty dog. It was my best buddy. When he passed away, I buried him right next to... He and I used to have a double lawn chair. We'd sit together and watch the world go by. So I buried him right there. And this guy came up and stole my double chair that I used to sit with my dog in. And, it's not worth anything. It's just the memory you have of the dog. And I was T.O.'d. So I went over here in the Jeep and went down that little path. And there was a woman down there. Let's call her Godzilla because she was kind of a large gal,
I know her. Yeah. And, I've heard her yell at her husband or boyfriend or whatever.
And I was talking to her, and all of a sudden, the aroma hit me. And I was like, oh, my God, what is that? They use their bathroom right outside their tent and everything.
Yeah.
And, you just can't imagine unless you've been there. It's like, sticking your head in a toilet or something.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I got to get out of here because I couldn't handle the smell anymore. I come home, I'm running in the shower, scrubbing myself, and it's just nasty.
Yeah, well, that smell, it's also, they use that like waterway.
Yeah.
As just to go piss and shit in. And it's like, that is disgusting. That's what tore up the river, the Sacramento River and the American River.
It's a biohazard. You're going to get that, some kind of bacteria. And I remember they had an outbreak of that. It's some kind of intestinal bacteria that's bad for you. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that was at Discovery Park where they had the outbreak of it. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh.
Well, you know what about less than a quarter mile downstream from Discovery Park is, right?
That's where that homeless encampment is.
Sacramento's freshwater drinking intake.
Oh, well, the homeless encampment's right there, though.
Right. So you've got stuff coming out of their backsides going into your drinking intake that's getting pushed in the... So you hope that the water treatment facility is 100% on their game every time because it's just...
And you also hope that that all the homeless people are at least eating something healthy and eating the fiber. So at least when it comes down to us and we drink it, we get the health. But of course, that's not the case.
It's a heck of a thought, isn't
it? Yeah. So we really get. It's in our best interest to make sure that these homeless people eat healthy.
There is a reason for sanitation, and I believe the reason was called the Black Plague.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
You want to?
I think I read a pamphlet on that. Well, but that's also why we take showers. Indoor plumbing, of course, became popular, rightfully so. And but luckily they're building that. They're building this like a little development in between now. They're taking that field out.
Oh, over here, yeah.
Yeah.
That was owned by the Catholic Church?
Oh, really?
I went over there one day, and there was a bunch of guys setting the fence up and everything, and they were, again, cleaning out all the stuff that the homeless people left by. So I had, bored, stop and chat with them. He said, yeah, every time that the city comes in and cleans that up, they bill the church and for the cleanup, which I didn't know they could do that. So the church, I guess, had enough of it, and they turned it over to some developer that they're now going to build houses over there. So
yeah, that's the only real way to get them out, right? To keep the homeless people out of there. It's an empty field. It's too much of a temptation to just go and settle there for a while.
It's a funny thing. I don't know where all these homeless people came from all at once, but it seems like they just had a big bloom of them, right? And I got a buddy, Dale, who was a former ranger. He says, Jeff, I got a fix for this. You have 3 different buildings you establish, A, B, and C. And each one you have to take them and classify them. A is for the ones who are homeless that don't want to be, that aren't on drugs or whatever. They just need a little help, get some kind of training and some kind of job, and then when they're done, turn them back into society, right? B is for the folks that are on drugs that want to get off, have another process. When they're done there, they go to A to get their training, and off they go. And C is for the folks that don't want to get off, and they're behind bars. Welcome to your new home. So, well, good idea. I don't know how you're going to do it.
So there was a story a while ago. There was some kind of an experiment done, and Drew, see if you can find anything on this. There was a.
Is this where they gave guy $100,000 in Sacramento?
No. It was they had a bunch of housing set up, and in order to get at the housing and the food and everything, you had to be sober.
Yeah.
And so people set up just outside of it. And I don't know where it was. Maybe you can't find anything on it, but they set up just outside of it so they could, be as close as they could and still not have to follow the rules.
When I was working in building maintenance, you ran into homeless people all the time trying to get behind your bushes to sleep and attach stuff to your fence and all kinds of stuff. So I've talked to quite a few of them. And most of them that are on the drugs, they don't want to get off. They don't want help. They don't want a place to live. They just want to be left alone. No rules, regulations. Leave me alone. Let me do my meth or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I met a guy who said he was a Marine Corps vet from Vietnam. He said he was in Vietnam '68 when some of the worst stuff was going on. He was walking back and forth, set up a little latrine, had a girl there. Oh, my God. She cut keys with her teeth because they were all jagged from the meth and everything. And set up a little tent, and then they attached everything to our fence. Well, this was a $1 billion building that supplied all the internet for Sacramento metro area. You can't just let people hang around there because they would start fires all the time. They set the lot on fire 3 times when I was there, burnt fence down, all kind of stuff.
Oh.
So we had to chase them off. But you try to be human and talk with them a little bit. They don't want it. Most of them don't want help. They just want to be left alone. They don't want to give you a place to live or nothing. So.
Yeah, and even a while ago. So I think right out of high school, I started this warehouse job in Fairfield. It was for a hospital. It was like medical supplies and stuff. And every morning I would always find at least one homeless person just passed out right by our like sliding roll up door. And you get up and just have a pant load, just have shat himself, just you smell it and you see it, and this is just a pant load, I mean, my daughter, she's getting out of diapers now, and when there's a pant load in there,
yeah,
and it's, but a grown up pant load, I mean,
grown up pant load,
yeah, because again, they're not eating well, so
yeah.
I'm gonna have to see if I can find a photo for you where they did a needle cleanup behind this building. Oh. And how you see the DUI folks picking trash along the freeway, whatever. The sheriff's got a van out there, and so it was these folks that apparently had a DUI, and they got serviced the public to whatever to help get out of their DUI or whatever. I don't know how that works, but they did a needle cleanup, and they brought a tarp in that was probably 16, 20 feet long, 4 foot, 6 foot wide, and by the time they had the tarp full of the needles, they had to have 6 people carry it up to the top. Here's a shopping cart full of needles. And some of those still have heroin in them. You see the black stuff in the one needle?
Oh.
Shopping cart full.
You see that on the...
Down.
Ugh.
Yuck.
And there's another one there where we took pictures of the ground before the cleanup.
Oh, yeah. Look at all those.
No.
Can you imagine if some kids walking back there barefoot or something?
You send them to us so we can pop them up.
Yeah, send him to Drew. Drew, I'll just send it. Tell me your phone number and I'll cut it out.
But that's the stuff you deal with all the time. They just leave stuff everywhere, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, no, it's a biohazard, and I remember I used to ride BART all the time to go to when I used to work for the 49ers or the A's. And
you used to work for A's, huh?
Yeah, and it was a lot more. Baseball is a lot more chill than football. I liked it a lot more, but I also hated all the games because there were so many.
Oh.
But I would ride BART out there, and a couple times, you see needles all the time. But one time I saw this woman actually shoot up on it. Right? She was wearing a sleeveless deal. And she had put it in her shoulder because probably all the veins were fucked. So put it in her shoulder and just left it there.
The needle?
Left the needle there. And then I was like, oh, what the fuck? You know, so I got like pictures of it. It's on a different phone. I don't know where it is now, but I got pictures of it. And, you know, she just gets up, next stop, and gets out. And with the thing in there. It's just sticking out, right? And I'm like, oh my God, what if you nicked something, or what if you brushed up against it? That would hurt a lot, first of all. And second of all, that thing's going to fall out. And I mean, third of all, you're doing it on the train. There's so many layers of nastiness that's right there, you know? And I showed people and they're like, oh, why didn't you help her? Help her? Help her, like say, hey, there's something stuck in your arm?
Have you seen all the graffiti they put up?
Oh, where at?
Like over off of Roseville Road.
Oh, yeah.
So apparently there are messages in that graffiti that if you're in that lifestyle, I guess you'd call it, they know what those mean, right? So they had people that would sell behind the building out there, and you'd see the signs you know about. You go out there one time, there's a guy out there just railing this girl in broad daylight, you know, from behind. And when he's done doing his thing, he pulls the needle out, sticks her right in the butt. There you go. I guess that was her payment.
Oh, wow.
And she, okay, thanks, see you later, walked off.
She got injected with a lot that day.
Yeah.
Earth is so cool.
Wow. Earth is the grimiest place I've ever been.
Earth is grimy, man.
You know, but it wasn't always this way. I mean.
Sure. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it wasn't this way 10 years ago. You know, I mean, even that, well, that needle thing I did see, that was about 10 years ago. But, you know, it's gotten worse. I don't know of anywhere that's gotten better, you know? And I'm not just talking about California, but in general, you know, I mean.
Oh, I went down to San Diego to see the brother and help him with the race car or something. And it's worse down there.
Oh, really?
I guess because it's nicer weather or whatever, you know? I mean, you go through the streets down there, you just can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, the homeless people do tend to flock to California. The weather is too friendly. You know, what we need to do is we need to pollute more. We need to make it so that it's not a very friendly place.
You know, the thing is that everybody has your Bill of Rights, right? Mm-hmm. You can't take that away from you. So they can't force them into doing a bunch of stuff. But if you had some of these geniuses that supposedly make laws could come up with some stuff and then enforce it and try to fix it. But I think it's because it's a lot of work and a lot of them don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, right, there was that Supreme Court decision that was that they said that you couldn't mess with anybody's stuff. You couldn't, and on paper, that, and especially as someone with, like, more libertarian side, that makes sense. It makes sense because I don't want the government to be able to do that at all. But when you see how far it goes and you see what could happen, you're thinking, well, okay, but there's got to be a happy medium to where you can't just. I don't want to write the government a blank check to be like, okay, well, you can just go through people's shit, you know. But when they're on the side of the road and doing this kind of stuff, and especially if there's drugs involved, people call. I mean. Human trafficking involved, nasty shitting all over the place involved. You got to do something.
Yeah.
You can't just let it go. You have to do something. So
you should.
Like, you got to. I mean, a civilized society has to do something, you know? So I can't see this. I mean,
there's so many weird things going on nowadays that, you know, you have to wonder if, and I believe that a lot of it's intentional, but you don't know what the end game is. You know, why don't they want to enforce some of the felony laws that people go out and do, and they just turn them and release them back into society? Why do you bring people across the border without checking them for tuberculosis and these other diseases that are now blooming in California that we had been knocking down before with good vaccinations and good treatment and things like that? But, I mean, to bring somebody into this country with some kind of disease without checking them, it's ridiculous. What if they come in with Ebola?
Did we just go through this a couple years ago? I feel like we just went through this.
It's an election year.
Yeah, it's an election year, so you gotta. Yeah, everybody's like, "Hey, just we gotta do this just for a couple of months." You know, we gotta pretend that we care just for a couple of months.
Yeah, this is going to be a real interesting year later on, because I really believe that you've got two forces working against each other, and one good, one bad.
Yeah, I mean. It's an interesting one. You know, I mean, And it's hard to say what's going to happen because there's so much in the air in so many different ways.
Chaos will ensue.
Chaos will ensue. We can pretty much be assured of that. But I mean, there's a lot riding on it too. I mean, if one side gets elected, it's curtains for the other side, and it's now we're at the point where we're prosecuting political opponents. And I had somebody on the show from Russia, and they're like, and back then when we had him on the show, we didn't do that, but now we do that. So I don't know. I mean, it's
the guy that did the paint on the GTO was from Russia, and he had a business there, a trucking business where he was making tons of money, whatever. But they were going to force him and his kids into a war, so he escaped Russia, came over here, and I think he was actually sleeping in the back of the shop for a while until he found a place to live and bring his family to. But they did a beautiful job on the GTO.
Oh shit! Yeah, we got you. Yeah. So how long? So first of all, let's get back to the What year GTO is it?
67.
67. So it's the ones that, can you pull up a 67? That are like, they have the horizontal headlights on the side, right?
Yeah, vertical, one stacked on top of the other.
So the ones that are like what started out as like a Pontiac Le Mans.
It's pretty much the same car, Pontiac Le Mans and GTO. There's lots of interchangeable parts and whatever. There's just slight differences in them.
GTO is more pumped up options,
Yeah.
right? A high performance option of the Pontiac Le Mans.
Different interiors.
Kind of like a Cutlass and a 442, maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. I really like those old Cutlass. Yeah,
That's my color.
Shit.
I think. I can't wait to get this thing on the road.
I remember, have you ever seen the movie Triple X?
Yes.
Where the
That's my favorite. I love
where the
this
headlights
shit.
were rockets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they really have the unlock buttons on the side of the window sill? Like the one on
The pull up and down unlock buttons?
No, it's on the back of the body. When he opens it, I don't know. In Triple X, when he puts his hand around the body and he unlocks it, it was the craziest thing.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to do as close to stock as I can with some upgrades to make it a little bit better drivable and a little safer. So disc brakes all the way around, and
I'm gonna find the scene.
Yeah, find the scene. Because we could probably show a little bit of the scene.
there's a data plate on the firewall in the engine bay, and it's got all the information about there. And that's where I got my paint colors from, the interior colors, all the good stuff. And that's where I found out I got a numbers match in GTO because the engine has block numbers on it. And you look at it all, put it all together. And I'm like, okay, he gave me, when it came with a 389 that came out of a Bonneville, which I pulled out. I got it sitting in my driveway. And he gave me the 400 he said was the original with it. I took it apart and looked at it. I'm like, yeah, it matches. This is it. And when I went down to the machine shop, the guy said, you got the most desirable setup here. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, this is the 670 heads, high compression, small combustion chamber, all their stuff. I'm like, okay, good.
Damn. So, yeah, I love those old 400s, though. Those Pontiac 4. Back when Pontiac and Chevy didn't share the same motor all the time, that was, I love those 400s. But so, when you have a numbers matching car, it's kind of a double-edged sword almost, because you have this numbers matching car. It's extremely rare. It is basically as it was when it was new. Like, this is the experience, right? But then you think, holy shit, how much is it costing me every mile in value alone?
I'll tell you a funny story. My wife volunteers for old folks, right? Mm-hmm. She used to work at elder care facilities and some of the awfulest jobs. And now that we retired, she volunteers for this group called Los Parientes. So they did a yard sale at my house last week, and it was to benefit this elder community. So they were going to take all the men out for a Father's Day dinner with the money they raised from the yard sale. And they do it for gals there too. But some guy in the Los Parientes walked around my house and took pictures of everything, my tools in the garage, and put it on an advertisement in the yard sale. I didn't know that he did this. And some guy shows up because he took a picture of the GTO and put it on there. And I says, I'm here for the GTO. And my wife was like, yeah, how much did you give me for it? And the guy says, I have 100,000 cash right now. And my wife thought he was kidding. So she said, no, 150. So I said, okay, I got 150, and starts pulling hundreds out. And my wife was, no, he's going to divorce me. No, I didn't think you were serious, whatever. And he walked away ticked off. But I don't know if he was serious. It was counterfeit money or whatever, but he said he was ready to give 150 cash for it right then.
You got to buy one of those markers.
I went away to take one of her friends for a ride around in the Jeep, and when I came back, she told me about it. I'm like, I would have sold it for that, you know.
Holy shit. 150. Ooh. Oh, you found the clip?
Where's the volume?
He always wears those really flamboyant jackets in these movies, you know? Like, how comfortable do you really want to be?
Well, it's supposed to be cold in Siberia or somewhere. He's got the big.
Oh, they're in Siberia?
Yeah,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, this is
Czech.
it.
They're in Czech Republic.
Check, please.
I love this movie. You need better internet,
Oh,
Josh.
come on.
There it is.
You see that grill on there? I didn't know it, but you can actually take that whole thing off in one piece.
No shit.
And I was putting on a piece at a time. I had taken all the metal to a polisher. Oh man, I spent hours myself on the
See, look, right
headlight
here.
bezels.
Oh, right there?
Yeah. See that?
That's aftermarket.
That's got to
Are
be
you
custom.
sure?
Yeah.
That's custom.
I don't know, man. It's
That-
like he ordered a specific car.
I was old enough to remember driving in cars like this when they were coming out, and the locking mechanism, it's just a little vertical thing you pull up and down, right? And it kind of bulbs out on the top, like a T saddle or whatever you call it. And they started changing them to just straight ones because you could put a coat hanger in and get around that T, pop it up, and get in the car.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could see that. I had to change a lot around when I put the Camaro back together, so to make it less stealable, you know. So there's a couple spicy options that I added. You know, it's just to try and deter people. Like, and it's also kind of laziness on my part to not really want to put it back together completely the same. You know, like, well, this works, so I'll use this instead. And it's kind of like if I ever sell it.
You know, when I did the Jeep and I drove up to Walmart one day and something happened up there, cops all over the place, and one of the cops come over, hey, let me see you talking about whatever. And he says, where do you keep it? And I said, I got it locked up in my garage. He says, yeah, because you know somebody's probably already planning on stealing it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, that's what they do, you know. He said, I bet you people have seen your Camaro and are making plans, and you always have to have it locked up because there's always going to be somebody out there nowadays that take it out for joyride and smash it into a tree or something.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, it's the thing is like it's not just the monetary value of it. You know, it's that I put that together with my daughter. You know, and like she was, you know, like 3 years old or 4 years old in her Elsa dress, sanding it. You know, with my DA sanding it because she always it's. That age, they always want to wear princess dresses, you know?
It always creeped me out when I had run into crime. And I've lived and worked all over the United States. I've worked nights in Oakland, nights in D.C. I have never seen more crime anywhere else than right here in Sacramento. So I was married once before, and we divorced, and I moved into an apartment complex. And one day, 3 guys kicked my front door in, right? And I have lots of firearms, and I never have them out. I usually always have in the safe. And
well, they're all gone now. They all are in the bottom of the lake now.
right. So, but anyway, that particular day, I was off work. Normally, I'd make my kids walk home from school because I didn't want to raise a couple of wussies, right? So I thought, I'll go pick them up today. I just finished cleaning 870 20 gauge, and I had a beautiful Kimber stainless Target 45 ACP, and I think it was like $1,100. It's not like $1,400 gun now. So I stuffed that under the mattress, and I put the thing in shotgun in the closet, closed everything up, left, come back to find my front door kicked in. And when they kicked the front door in, they got the 2 firearms. They had taken a bag that had my computer with my resume in it, and that was really cool because later on I'll tell you how that worked out. But they went through all my kids' dresser drawers and tossed them, looking for God knows what, all mine. Took the blankets off my bed, put everything in that, and took the blanket to wrap everything up and run off with to make it easier to carry, right? So, having been a victim of crime is bad enough, but, you get this kind of dirty feeling. What was this person like that came into my house? Were they homeless? And you're just like, God, I just want to start scrubbing everything,
Yeah.
But they got convicted because the next week a police officer called me up, and I was over at a River Cats game. And I said, hey, we pulled these guys over, and they had all this stuff in your car, stuff I didn't even know they had. And they had your resume with your address linking them directly to the crime. And
Oh my God.
so they couldn't really say that they didn't do it, And it's interesting. There was 3 of them. They were all related. 2 were adults and 1 was a minor. So what they do is they get the minor to cop to the most serious offense, which is kicking the door in, breaking and entering or whatever. And the other 2 go in and start stealing everything. I don't know if he really kicked it in or not, but that's what they say. So the minor goes to juvie and the adults go to regular prison. Well, the guy who had done it had been caught many times, and they did 5 burglaries in that week they got caught at. So they ended up getting 9 years in prison for all that. But I got everything back except for my Kimber, and that's the one thing I wanted back the most.
Shit, he probably sold that first.
Probably, because it was
sure.
It was very nice,
Stainless,
expensive
too?
gun. Yep.
Shit.
That thing was like shooting laser beams, man. I took someone out to shoot, and we were at 80 yards, and I was hanging 16-ounce soda bottles off a tree and was shooting them at 80 yards and then getting them to swing and then hitting them while they were swinging.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit, that's like that's a show gun. See if you can pull one of those up. What was it?
Kimber 1911 stainless target 2.
So what's left on your GTO?
1911.
Oh, it was a Colt 1911? Oh, no, it was
Kimber.
It was a rifle.
It's modeled after a Colt 1911, but
Uh-huh.
it was a manufacturer was a Kimber.
Oh.
Target.
There you are. First one up.
Yeah.
The original Colts, my dad used to hate them because he had to qualify with them in the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And he said you could shake them, they'd rattle, they weren't accurate, all that stuff. The newer ones, they have come out with better designs to where they're a lot more accurate. And the Kimber is really tight. If it starts to get dirty, then you start having problems with it. So you got to keep it pretty clean. But the old coats, you could bury them in sand and mud, pull them up and fire them away. But they were looser.
Because my grandpa he had his 1911. It was always loaded in his chair. And we never knew it was there until he passed away one day and we went to go clean it. It was like, oh, there's one in the chamber.
You have to see mine. I bought prehistoric woolly mammoth ivory grips for it.
Oh, really?
And
that's the only ivory that is legal, actually.
Right, and I sent them to a lady in Ohio to have them scrimshawed. And I don't know if you know what scrimshaw is? Mm-mm. It's like a tattoo on a bone. And her specialty was doing color work. So I've got more money in my grips than the entire gun now. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. I had the eagle done on one side, and I did the Chris Kyle Punisher logo on the other side.
Oh, really?
Took her a year.
So it's etched in there?
Yeah, they do. They have a little needle thing that they scrape and make the design, and they do it, under a loop or whatever, and then they lay color into the etching. You ever see like an old whale's tooth that was scrimshawed?
Yeah,
Already?
yeah.
It's like that, but she was really good at doing it with the color. And let's see if I can find it.
Yeah. Yeah, because my wife's favorite gun to shoot is a Colt 1911. It's the most comfortable.
That's one side.
Oh, wow.
If you swipe left, it'll show you the other side.
Oh, yeah. Let's look at... Can you see these, Drew?
Down. There you go. Yeah, it swiped it away.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's slick.
That is.
So
That's
literally
sweet.
prehistoric woolly mammoth ivory that I got from Boone Trading Company, and they give you a certificate saying that it is real mammoth ivory, and they do something to it to make it stronger. I don't know if they coat it with epoxy or do something. They call it stabilizing it, and then I had her do the designs, and she sent it out to me.
Man, that's nice.
Yeah. Now I'm afraid to shoot it.
Yeah, right? Because, at that point, it's a show gun. It's not a...
I still shoot it.
Shogun.
You kind of have to. Well, you have to shoot it, and you have to keep cleaning it. You have to keep... It has to keep being used.
Oh, there's more things I want to do to it. There's so many things. I want to stipple the front of the grip, which is... I don't know if you've ever seen it, but they have a process. They make it kind of...
It's like sandpapering it.
Diamond
without
looking to it or
sandpapering
something.
Yeah.
I want to put the commander hammer on it. I want to change the sights. Now, some of the sights were tapped in like dovetail, and some are like mine where they have like a rivet on the inside. So I have to drill the rivet out. Then I have to have a guy dovetail it and put it in there.
Oh, shit. Well, I want to check out this Jeep.
All right.
Let's check it out.
You want to drive it?
Yeah.
where I'm almost puke. It makes you salivate really weird, you know.
Oh, I haven't been that close to it to do that.
If you watch the guys do it, you almost see the face right there.
Those are. All right, throw us a little rev. I say throw us a little rev.
I can do that. What's that? This Jeep is perfectly legal.
No, me sitting back here with those females.
No, it's perfectly legal.
This is how they built it back then.
I had to go through an inspection with the DMV before they let me use the tags for it. And the guy said, okay, let me see your blinker. No one like this. Come on, you're giving us a warranty.
Yeah.
You just have to your lights aren't on. Oh, hang on a minute, I got to turn brake lights. You got to turn them on. What do you mean you got to turn them on? We can unlock it here and flip it over. You don't want your lights going on in a theater or war. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh wow, yeah, that is an important kind of option to have.
Willie, the guy who ever designed this, is kind of a genius. Have you ever seen the videos where they take one apart and put it back together in like half an hour?
Huh.
Oh, you gotta see that. They pull the engine
Oh, I think I've seen that video. Yeah.
Oh, because they're designed to do that.
Yeah, they're held together by like 4 bolts.
One thing that I always thought was weird. There used to be a big homeless camp right here.
Oh yeah, look at that on camera. Fucking nitty gritty.
This time I won't even get any gas. I'll just let it go down here.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this nothing stops this.
All right, your turn.
All right.
This one's gonna be Nelly.
Nelly.
And they do that. That gives it more torque when you have a real long piston rod.
Yeah, like a stroker motor.
When I first took this out, to dump the goo out of it and take it in to have it record, I'm lifting it up. I'm like, it's heavy as shit, right? I'm like, what is this? It's brass.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that back in the day these were all brass, and that's why it was heavy like that. And this is the original style cloth, correct cold-coated wiring harness I had put in it.
Yeah.
This is called welting. Even the Model A even had that on there.
Yeah.
So I need to get some more of that for the Model A because mine blew off.
This is what they use just in part of a weather seal, right?
Yeah. And this is an oil bath air cleaner, right? I don't have any oil in it. If you take it off, there's a filter in there, but you also put oil in it, and it circulates the oil. And the reason they do that is when it sucks the air in, if the air has dirt and stuff in it, it'll stick to the oil and won't give it the engine.
Yeah, kind of like that's kind of like what they do with the K&N filter.
Or Caterpillar.
Yeah, yeah.
I had, this is a grill we found somewhere. I can't remember. It's an original 52 grill because my old one was all roached out. So I cut the face off of it and I got it on my wall.
Oh, really? Yeah, this does make a good wall, like ornament because it's so iconic, you know.
My garage is so nasty looking to get sometime in.
I'll be down there.
It's got the one wire from a 66 Chevelle running on 12 volts.
Oh.
This used to be a voltage regulator would sit here when you had the 24 volt system.
Shit.
A lot of fun. I can't wait. I want to take it to Texas and go pig hunting now. Yeah, it's kind of a mystery how to get the name the Jeep because the military doesn't have designations like that. The original one was the M38A1.
Are we going?
Right? And this one was the the M38, and this was the M38A1 because it was upgraded with the whopping 74 horsepower engine and the domed roof and all this other stuff on it. But they always added A1 to the end of something when they improved it, like 1911 A1. I don't know if you noticed, but right behind the trigger, you'll see two little cutouts beside in the body of the gun. Because most guys back then couldn't handle the size of it, so they put those little cutouts in there so their finger could reach the trigger easier.
Huh.
And
those little indents right there, right?
Yeah, that's one of the improvements. The original ones did not have that. So there's all these little things. So it was 1911 and 1911 A1, the M1, M1A1. And there's a story about how it got the name the Jeep because it was never called Jeep, and the story was the designation was GP, General Purpose Vehicle, something, quarter-ton truck. And instead of saying GP, they just say Jeep. And the other rumor is, nobody knows what the reality is. Maybe some old guy out there knows, was they named it for some reason after that cartoon character in Popeye that they called the Jeep, a little magical character.
What does that thing look like? A little magical character. Let's see.
That guy.
Oh, yeah, what the hell is that thing?
Eugene Jeep. I don't know what it is.
See, you got to be old like me to have seen that, I guess.
The Jeep. It almost looks like those little things, those little babies that you squeeze and like the ears and the eyes pop out,
Yeah.
The
You wanted me
Jeep.
to look something up on the bee. What was it?
If you go to sacb.com and find their little magnifying glass search thing and type in once a soldier, always a soldier. There on the left, there's Joe. And that was the first year after COVID when they started doing the first Veterans Day parade. And his daughter, Chris, over there asked me if I'd take him around in it. So I'm like, yeah, take a guy from the greatest generation. You got to be kidding me.
Oh, yeah.
Those are his granddaughters. His granddaughter in the back and his daughter in the front. And he was the guest of honor at the first Veterans Day parade when they started it up after COVID. I remember I was sitting around BSing with this guy in tiger camo ammo and or camouflage. And then the mayor was there and they called up Brigadier General so-and-so and he stood up and said, "Hey, I got to go." And I'm like, I was just BSing with a general.
Yeah, there he is.
Yep. Joe the man. And the next year, I got to take two Vietnam veterans around.
Once a soldier, always a soldier. First member of the family member to put their last name in their service. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years. Stationed out in Marine Corps Air Station, Yuma, Arizona. Served there 4 years with the Marine headquarters. Then transferred to the squadron, 88 Bravos, the Harriers. Was there for their last ground deployment and last water deployment, they call it. Then I transferred over to the Army National Guard. I take a lot of pride into it, coming from a family who, first generation here as Americans, and my parents crossing the border.
Sacramento Automobile Museum brought a bunch of their cars out for this too.
A lot of pride when I come back home to my family and I see a lot of my family members and my nieces and nephews.
The guy right there on the right, he was Air Cav in Vietnam. Remember that movie Apocalypse Now?
Oh, yeah.
That hat? I took him back to his car in the Jeep and chatted with him a little bit.
Good representation out there.
Damn, yeah, I wish I got to have Joe on the podcast, because guys probably got a lot to say.
When I was in management at AT&T, I had some folks that worked for me. I had an engineering team, and there was a few folks that I got to work with that were former military like Joe. They were the best people ever. They were never late. They were never sick. They learned their job. They did their job. I mean, so much, to admire in them. And Joe, he still had that. He'd come around to the house, and he wanted to. My wife has all these flowers. Pick some of the flowers, whatever. I'm like, Joe, I'll go buy you some of these flowers. He says, no, I need to pick them, and then I'm going to grow them, and then he was always going to do something to give back. I'm going to have my own flower shop, and all. I'm like, you're almost 100 years old. What do you think about working for? But he still was.
It's in the blood.
These folks here had escaped Vietnam, and that's why they walk in the Veterans Day parade every year to honor the troops that saved their life and help them get out of there.
Wow.
I do this. I'm going to do this every year now. I did it this time around, and I got the 2 Vietnam vets, and they told stories about having rocks and stuff thrown at them when they came back. And I'm like, get the hell, make the hair in the back of your neck stand up.
Yeah, but that was, like people like Jane Fonda came back and were like, my stepdad was in Vietnam. He wasn't there. He was like, he got to choose where he went to go because he went to Korea instead. But, when they got back, it was like not a very warm welcome. And that's the most shameful thing, other than like us being there at all is, because we were basically lied to get in there.
Yeah.
With the Gulf of Tonkin, and then to have these guys be sent over, they probably got a lot of pressure from their parents because their parents were in World War II.
It was more than just the Gulf of Tonkin, too. The French were trying to colonize them, and we were allies with the French in World War II. And when the French started fighting them, they said, hey, we're allies. You're supposed to help us fight them. And we should have never been in there. It's ridiculous. But, the trailer I have for that, I want to do the restoration. I've got the correct rims for it, and I had those sandblasted and painted. I got to get some tires for it, but the tires... price, everything's gone up in price.
Yeah.
And then I want to build a couple of bench seats in on the trailer so I can take more people in the parade.
Oh yeah. Are these the kind of tires that you could retread?
You probably could, but you probably don't want to. Have you ever seen them do that?
Yeah.
The treads fly off of them. Mm-hmm. And these things last forever. I mean, these are some of the best tires made. Firestone NDTs, they say military on them. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know what it is. Maybe because they're tall and narrow. When I get to my driveway, I just let off the gas, and you can roll up to the curb, and it'll still just climb over it because I guess they're tall and narrow and are made to climb. Whatever. They go over easier than any of my other cars. So.
I mean, driving this, I can see why. What's that?
You lost a battery.
So I think we're saying, power steering, no, but not bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, the power steering in it, when we were coming down that hill, it's just kind of like you think, okay, maybe 1 or 2, but then you're like, oh, I got to turn it again. Oh, got to turn it again. Because, driving something without power steering that's made without power steering is a lot different than driving with something that just the power steering doesn't work. I
think it's one of the reasons the steering wheel is so big around is you get more torque when you drive it. It makes it easier to turn.
Yeah, no, I could see that. And then, it's just interesting the little options that you have where you have that machine gun mount. You have the switch that turns off the brake lights, which you think, why would you want to do that? That's unsafe. But if you're in a war situation, you don't
want your lights on.
Yeah, you're not necessarily worried about a tailgater rear-ending you.
It has the old high beam foot switch in it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Does your Camaro have that?
So yes, it does. I don't know if I hooked it up or not. I think I did.
That one actually works.
I think I may have. I'm not sure. I don't ever drive it at night, so it's kind of like the headlights are just there so there's not an open hole. They work and stuff, but it's like the headlights are barely adequate at best at night, and I still have to kind of adjust them, make sure they're pointing in the right direction.
Did you say yours was a 79?
74.
74. I had a 79. And when I was living in Virginia, I used to go up to New York to see a girlfriend now and then. She's in a nursing school up there. And I came back once and there was a snowstorm. And in the building I worked at, they had underground parking. So I just take the cab to the airport, come back, jump in the car. And on the way home, I was going up the hill, and it was so slick, I get only about halfway up, and I start sliding backwards. Halfway up, start sliding backwards. I'm like, now what do I do? And that's when they first started coming out with front-wheel drive cars. Uh-huh. So I thought, so I flipped it around, and I went up the hill backwards and made it.
We used to do donuts backwards in the front-wheel drive cars, yeah.
Huh.
Or we also, you remember Train? You remember Train? So we used to get like those trays from like Taco Bell or something.
Oh.
Put those under the back tires.
I've seen them do that over at a couple of streets where they did it. I'm like, what the heck are they doing? That's the only way they could get it to drift.
Yeah, one time I did that, and I smashed into a curb, but the point of the curb, so I just punctured the tire, and I was like, Oh shit! You know, now I gotta spend $70 on a new tire because it was a Tempo, they're cheap ass tires, and this is way back in the day. But you know,
I've always thought that there's fewer and fewer racetracks all the time, right? Because noise and I don't know. But I don't understand why they haven't built a really nice drifting track where people could go instead of doing it on the streets. They come over here and do it over here, and then
Sonoma.
yeah, they do that in Sonoma.
They do that?
Still do that? Yeah, they did it in Sonoma for a while. I'm
Really
pretty.
far away though.
Yeah, it's pretty far.
Do you remember when they started out that one race in one of the Fast and Furious where they were going around a circle and I thought that'd be a great way to start the race? Have 4 of those.
That's the toge, right? That's the toge. That's what they call it. They call it the toge.
Huh?
It's where you race in like the opposite. Is it the Drew? You might know more about this. You race in the opposite side, basically, right? It's like a drift race. Yeah.
Because Sacramento's not here anymore, right?
Yeah. So did they take that completely out?
I don't think they race there anymore. I think they shut it down, and they probably should have because the guy who owned the place wasn't doing any maintenance there. I went out there to do an exhibition once with the nitro car from my brother's friends, and went up into the bleachers, and I about went through because the bleachers had all rotted and everything.
Oh shit!
And I'm like, man, if somebody wants to have a lawsuit, this would be the place to do it. And then you couldn't do the full quarter mile because that towards the end it got all rough, and you don't want to hit something almost 300 miles an hour. It'll throw you through the air.
I mean, I know also that they're trying to take it down at Sonoma. I've heard mixed reports. I haven't actually been out there for a while, but people are saying that they only do quarter mile now because it upsets the cows. And other people are saying that only eighth mile because it upsets the cows. And people are saying they still do quarter mile. So I don't really know.
There was a beautiful one in Denver that I've been to, and it was built into the side of the mountain. And the bleachers were cut into the rock of it. Gorgeous track. They shut that one down. I don't know why.
Well, when I'm president, that'll change.
I'll vote for you.
Thank you. 2044. All right. Well, Jeff, hey, it's been real and it's been fun.
Yep.
And it has been real fun.
When I get the goat done, we'll have to do that one.
Hey, bring it by. And the Model A as well.
Like,
A story for another time.
yep.
All right. See you guys.
I,